Cause,
common
yes.
cause. Number 2 is inspected and integrated activity. Here's number 3, and I hate to cover number 3 because it's tough.
Oh,
Minimum standards. Does everybody have a minimum standard? And the answer is, of course, yes. And it's
breathing.
whatever is
Right.
understood by everyone in your team, in your office, in your company.
Yeah.
And for most companies, unfortunately, that answer is whatever my bottom producer is allowed to get away with and stay on the team. And for most companies, unfortunately, again, that's 0. You just can't let people do 0 for too long. First of all, because they give up. But second, hey, you saw potential in them. You recruited them and gave them this opportunity. It's really our responsibility to set at least a minimum bar for them to shoot for so they know what's required.
Well, I think there's another reason too, and maybe it's even more important, no offense, but people that are successful don't want to hang around people that aren't. So if your intent is to build a team, a group, an office, a team, however you look at your position, the best people are going to stay with you, are going to be retained, are going to be attracted to being with you when the team is successful. And if there's only 1 or 2 out of 10 that they can count on, that are skillful, that are really doing business, then who wants to be on that team? Maybe more low producers. And that's not what you need.
And the problem with minimum standards is enforcing them.
Yeah, that's so hard.
That's the toughest part, I think, of being a leader. It reminds me of the wagon train days.
Because you like them so much,
when the
Michael.
wagon train is heading out west and the cook is in the back wagon, the chuck wagon, and he looks out the back and sees savages on the horizon. Looks like we're going to be attacked. He jumps on his horse, rides up to the trail boss in the front and says, "Boss, we're being followed by savages." And he says, "Well, how far away are they?" And the cook goes, "Well, they only look this big." And he says, "Well, don't worry, they're days behind us. They'll never catch up." But a week later, he looks back and they're a lot closer. And he jumps on his horse and rides up to the trail boss, says, "Boss, they're a lot closer." "Boss, how big are they?" He says, "Well, now they're like this." He says, "Look, they're still a day or so behind us. Don't worry." Well, a week goes by and now they're right behind him. And he runs back up, says to the boss, "Boss, they're right behind us. What do I do?" And the boss says, "Kill them." And the cook says, "Kill him, I can't do that." And the trail boss says, "Why not?" He says, "Because I've known them since they were this big." Yeah, it's hard to let people go because we've known them since they were just babies, just getting into this with those wide eyes and all their stars in their eyes and their hopes and dreams. And it's hard to disappoint people, but it's not for everybody. So
what would help is to have expressed those minimum standards right up front. So at the beginning, in your interviewing, raise the bar. What did Floyd teach all of us? If you've read his books, if you've heard his videos, you already know the higher your standards, the longer the line to get in. And so we express high standards right from the very beginning. It's a privilege to be on this team. And everybody on this team is expected to do umpty, 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 ump. Like come to the meetings, the monthly meetings.
This is, I'm going to inspect this. This is what I expect from you. And this is our cause. That's a minimum to help us get there. And you got to do your part.
And there's probably 4 or 6 or 9 expectations that you will have to learn and master the company tools, to understand the marketing plan and put together a listing presentation. All those kinds of things are in the minimum standards, the expectation. How would you feel about having someone that was out there saying they're on your team and then embarrassing themselves in front of the public, and the public says, "Oh my gosh, that's not what you're in this for." So you've got to not only communicate that, but you also need to hold the line when people are not doing what you ask them to do.
There are 4 symptoms that a team will exhibit when there are no minimum standards. And the first is a poor image in the public's eye. The second is low production. The third is your authority is a lot less. You have less persuasive ability with them. And the fourth is its image, production, authority, and morale.
Ooh, yeah.
Morale, like Mary said, the Navy, Air Force, Army, and Coast Guard all recruit, but the Marines don't have a recruiting problem because their standards are higher. We don't take applications, only commitments. That's what the billboard says.
I love it.
That billboard.
I love it too.
Yeah. No, they don't have to be huge, and they don't always have to be production. It could be attitude, effort, and production. That's our people analyzer, which we'll cover in a later webinar. It's a great management tool. But our standard in our company was you have to be a plus or a minus in each of those 3 categories, attitude, effort, and production, but you have to be at least 2. That's our minimum standard. You decide which 2 at any given moment. Minimum standards, because the higher the standards,
the longer the line to get in. Oh, that's a very long line in that image. I love it.
They're waiting for the new Apple phone.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Okay.
Thought they were maybe boarding Southwest.